Hello, my name's Steve Elliker. I'm a Living Life on Purpose coach, and today I want to talk to you about the psychic drama. Now, although we're actively encouraged by therapists of all modalities to spend time with rest and recuperation, relaxing and repairing by being in the present moment, using, say, mindfulness and recreation, we're also our past and our future selves, especially during times of stress and life challenges. It can be healing to avoid the past as well as the anxiety associated with our future thoughts. Our past in particular can hold on to a great deal of negativity, made worse by discounting our positive past achievements. Also, as if a part of us is trapped or stuck in the spiral of negativity or despondency. And in the therapy world, we call this stuckness an impasse. Now, an impasse is defined as a situation in which no progress is possible because of deadlock. When we are locked down in despondency, where despondency is defined as a loss of hope or courage or a feeling of dejection. Now, an impasse manifests and emanates originally from our subconscious mind, triggered by current events which bring our past to the surface into the present moment and into awareness. The most intractable feeling of stuckness is one where the despondent impasse is largely subconscious. I say largely because this impasse can come into your awareness when we are triggered by a present day event or personal interaction. Whereas normally that impasse would sit in our subconscious mind, locked down, glued down, and that glue is a negative emotion we call shame. Brené Brown describes shame as the intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. I love that definition. I can remember a shaming event in my childhood. I would have been, 5, playing a toy drum in the front row as part of a school Christmas orchestra, presumably playing a Christmas song. My mother was also in the front row of the parent audience, looking rather stern and at my lackluster performance. I can remember feeling really bad about myself and alone with my emotional experience. And this event, coupled with other similar scenarios during my upbringing, stayed with me. As a result, I'm certainly impacted on my ability to talk at work meetings or engage with public speaking as an adult. When these events happen to us and we receive powerful, often non-verbal messages from our parents or significant others, we make decisions about what those messages mean. Even at the age of 5 or 6, these messages pave the way for determining beliefs about ourselves. We can make a decision about the parental messages we receive. Something like, I'm not good enough, or there must be something wrong with me. And we create a childlike story about what happened and how this experience will have impacted on us. Because these events are painful, shaming experiences, we push these painful feelings out of our awareness by suppressing our feelings. And these early limiting beliefs, as we call them, are denied and removed from our awareness into our subconscious mind. It's a kind of a selection process where we decide, I just don't want to think about that. It simply didn't happen. And over time, these out-of-awareness beliefs become entrenched, locked down, pushed into the basement of our experience. That is, until we are, for example, asked as an adult to give a talk and wonder why we're so overcome with self-doubt and anxiety. And guess what? This then reinforces the original, early limiting belief that there's something wrong with me. After all, others can get up and talk at meetings or events. Why can't I? This is how the internal psychic drama gets externalized. The inner conflict becomes an external conflict. Although conflict doesn't always mean anger, it can mean any persistent, unresolved, negative emotion, but we call it conflict. So how does this out-of-awareness thing work? I mean, how can we resolve it? Well, we know that the area we're dealing with in our incredibly clever human mind is our ability to create out of awareness subconscious mind. And in that subconscious mind we hold two psychic energies or entities. Firstly, childhood judgments and criticisms are held in our psychic entity that we call the critical parent or the inner critic. Secondly, there is the wounded part of us that's still holding on to feelings of childhood, unresolved sadness, anger or anxiety. This is the entity known as our inner child. And these two entities, inner critic and inner child, are in a psychic codependent relationship. Now, a codependent relationship is a circular relationship that is defined as where one partner needs the other partner, who in turn needs to be needed. However, these adult partners' needs are in fact childhood unmet needs. The inner critic needs an inner child to persecute, who then tolerates this persecution because the inner child needs to be needed and not risk any kind of rejection or even abandonment. The psychic codependency can now be reframed as where the inner critic needs the inner child, who in turn desperately needs to be needed. This passive psychic codependent relationship is locked down and glued together by unresolved feelings of shame. This is the psychic drama held in an unresolved impasse. The psychic codependency becomes activated when as adults we get triggered, where an event or a situation or a person stimulates an out of the blue negative emotion. So for example, if you were ignored a lot as a child by significant people in your life, you may decide that you believe I'm simply not important. And you may find as an adult when a friend of yours ignores you, it triggers an unexpected and unresolved degree of anger. Now, this inner critic lives under the radar within the mindset of our brain. It's that part of your brain that criticizes and judges you and others. He or she may be saying things like, you should have done this, or you shouldn't have done that, or self-critical of failing to do or failing to say something. The inner critic can be very harsh and say things to you in your mind that you would never say to anyone else. However, the inner child is the emotional part of who you are, that entity within your mindset that responds emotionally to your inner critic with feelings of shame or disappointment at having or not having done something. She or he will often feel that negative emotion deeply, thus continuing to believe what the inner critic is saying, believing it to be true, which then becomes a vicious circle. From a therapist's point of view, our clients present with life challenges and problems when at some point recently they have been triggered. Clients are then trying to unravel a knot of confusion that's left in the wake of this psychic drama. It's also a golden opportunity for the therapist and client to uncover this psychic codependency and both expose the inner critic whilst taking care of the inner child. But how do we unravel this psychic knot? One thing we do know is this presenting problem or life challenge will help discover and clarify the client's limiting beliefs. Once we know our client's limiting beliefs, we can begin to dial down the volume of the inner critic, whilst encouraging the development of or resurgence of a new nurturing parent who will gradually promote a nurturing self-care strategy, especially around stress reduction, relaxation and repair, nutrition, exercise, sleep, as well as promoting a positive mindset by reframing our client's experience, looking at, for example, the positive benefits of the work we are doing. The antidote to shame is without doubt always self-compassion, and therapists have and model compassion in abundance. We will then challenge the inner critic. Psychologist Julia Christina writes, shame sits inside your brain and whispers lies to your subconscious about what makes you a fundamentally unworthy human being. These lies haunt us and impacts on how we interact with the world. Limiting beliefs are created out of those lies that our parents unwittingly told us, often passed down by previous generations. Example, children should be seen and not heard was a popular one in my childhood. This is a fundamental lie. There's no other word for it. In addition, shame can show up in our bodies as hot flushing, a lump in our throat, butterflies in our stomach. Therapist and client can shine a light on our experience and process it, find a way to make peace with it. These limiting beliefs generate thoughts. Thoughts generate a feeling response. Feelings impact on our behaviour, and our behaviour dictates our outcomes in life. As therapists, we look at the thoughts that arise from limiting beliefs and set about unpacking and challenging those lies. Some people already possess an inner nurturing parent interjected into their psyche with a boundaried and consistent unconditional love growing up. But for the rest of us, life coaching will need to work with the inner critic and the inner child and their psychic codependent relationship. We dial down the volume on limiting beliefs because we recognise that limiting beliefs are a part of who we are. Eradication is possible but not necessary, because what limiting beliefs remain are curtailed by a burgeoning and empowered nurturing parent mindset, taking care of your inner child whilst admonishing the inner critic. This is an important part of your journey towards living your life on purpose.